Good morning, third graders. I can't believe that we're already on chapter 30 of our read aloud Rump by Liesl Shurtliff. Where did we leave off yesterday? Oh, that's right. Rump convinced Frederick and Bruno, who were watching him as he went to the bathroom, he convinced Bruno and Frederick that he hid some gold somewhere. And he said that if they came with him, he would give them some of the gold, and not all of it would go to their father, the miller, Oswald. So they're going off to find this gold that doesn't really exist. So let's see what Rump has up his sleeve. Chapter 30, The Stiltskin. Because Frederick and Bruno were soldiers and something like nobility, they were able to get a carriage with horses from the stables. Better if we're quick, said Frederick. I'll send a message to father and tell him that you're having a hard time. Bruno snorted. Frederick found a gnome and gave him the message, and then we left. When I had nothing with me, the journey to the troll's forest had taken half a day. He was so slow, but with a carriage, we were there within half an hour. Bruno whipped the horses so they went faster, and we bounced along the road. Archie woke with the whips and the roar of the carriage and started to wail. I tried to rock him and shush him, but he was awkward in my arms, and he only cried louder. Where is this place? Bruno yelled over the baby's wails. You said it was just beyond the gates. Bruno looked through the trees as if a wolf might jump out from them at any moment. Slow down, just a bit farther. We came to the bend in the road that I recognized. Stop, I told him, and Archie quieted as the carriage became still. We stepped down, and I walked off the road. Through here, I said, pointing into the blackness of the trees. Frederick and Bruno halted at the edge of the road. In there? They asked at the same time. Frederick's voice cracked. I had to hide the gold in a place where no one would find it. I walked into the trees. A few moments later, I heard their footsteps behind me. We walked slowly and quietly until we came to the apple tree. Its branches bowed, heavy with the weight of poison fruit. I really hoped Bork was still trying to catch a pet, even though he already had nothing. Gently, I sat the baby down on the ground. Wait here, I told them, and approached the tree. There was very little light to see by, but I searched around the tree until I saw it, the snare. Very carefully, I placed my foot into the trap. Snap! Switch! Slunk. The rope yanked me off the ground, and I screamed louder than necessary to attract the trolls. Frederick and Bruno's jaws dropped. A few moments later, rustling came from the brush behind me, and the first of the trolls appeared, ugly and smelly as ever. Trolls, I shouted. Help! Trolls! Trolls! Help me! Frederick and Bruno squealed and ran, flailing their arms. They didn't even pause to pick up their baby nephew. They bolted through the trees toward the carriage. I barely heard the crack of the whip or the horses' hooves above their screams. In a few moments, the noise faded. What's this? Said one of the trolls. Didn't you learn anything from last time? Hello, Bork. Archie began crying. And you brought extra, said Bork. Well, we can always use a side dish. Oh, you don't want that, I said. Far too bitter. Do you have any sludge? We always have sludge. And he cut me down. The first part of the plan had worked. I was out of the castle, and Frederick and Bruno were gone. But that was the easy part. Now I had to find a sealskin before it was too late. Something told me I was in the right place. I was greeted with many snorts and snarls from the trolls. Slap now had a wolf pelt on his head instead of his deer antlers. How did you get that? I asked. He ate the apples, said Slop. Wolves don't eat apples, Bork corrected. He died of starvation. Didn't even have any meat on his bones. Because them apples ate it all up with their poison. Slop pushed the wolf head so its teeth were hanging over his eyes. Then he sniffed me. You still reek of magic. I wanted to tell him he reeked of troll, but I didn't. Mart hugged me when she saw me, which was comforting despite the smell. "What is it?" she said, pointing to Archie in the basket. "That's Archie," I said, without explanation. "He's horribly clean, and so are you." Mard took Archie from my arms, and Gorp and Grot tackled me to the ground and smeared mud on my clothes. As I stood up, a fat donkey came trotting towards me. "Nothing!" He brayed and pushed me with his head right back down into the mud. "We named him Horace," said Grot. "He likes to eat worms." I laughed. Nothing's name is Horace, and he likes to eat worms. Well, he looked happy. Maybe having a real name made him a better donkey. Mard pushed a cup of sludge into my hands. "You need fattening," she said. "You grew." Then she dipped her fingers in the sludge and fed some to Archie. I thought for sure he would start crying, but he didn't. He slurped and gurgled. The young prince had a taste for worms. "This will make him a strong boy," said Mard. "Why have you come back?" asked Bork. "And who were those boys?" "Those were the queen's brothers." "Can they make gold from straw too?" Bork asked. "They don't look too smart." "They can't make gold. Either can the queen." I took a deep breath. "I can, though." All the slurping and grunting and snorting stopped, and the trolls looked at me. So I told them my story, all of it, the spinning, my mother, my name, and how I had come to gain Archie. "No wonder you reek of magic," said Slop. "You were born in this stuff." "Why can't you give him back if you don't want him?" Slop asked. "Because she promised him in exchange for the gold, so I have to take him. That's part of the magic." "Why would she promise her baby?" asked Gorp. "I don't know. Humans do a lot of things that make no sense." The trolls grunted in agreement and raised their cups. Archie started to cry, and Mart bounced and rocked him. Too clean, poor thing. She took handfuls of mud and slathered it on his face so he looked like a piglet in a mud puddle. I thought for sure he'd go into hysterics, but instead he stopped crying and drifted off in Mard's arms as she rocked him. Watching this, I felt a pang in my chest. A baby should have a mother, and a mother should have her baby. That is, if destiny works out the way it's supposed to. I needed to find a way to give Archie back to Opal. That's why I had come here. "I have something to show you," said Bork. "What is it?" "Something I discovered a little while ago. Let's go to the tree." We took a torch through the trees until we came to the clearing with the apple tree, standing so still and perfect in the dark. Bork reached up and picked an apple and held it to the light of his torch. This tree grew from seeds of a poison apple, you know, so I've never tried one, but a few weeks ago I saw a strange thing. A family of raccoons came out of the middle of the night and started eating those apples. I watched them, followed them to their den, and they didn't die. They didn't even seem sick. So I thought maybe those apples aren't poisonous for raccoons. But I kept watching the tree, and a week later, I saw some squirrels gnawing at the apples, and they didn't get sick either. So, you know what else I thought? Maybe these apples aren't really poisonous at all. Maybe poison doesn't have to grow from poison. Not always. This tree, I think, just maybe it grew the way it wanted to grow. Those seeds, they were stronger than the magic. Without warning, Bork took a bite of the apple. I snatched it and threw it away. "What are you doing?" He chewed and swallowed, and we waited. My heart pounded as I thought at any moment Bork was going to drop dead. He smacked his lips and grimaced. Surely the poison was sinking in now. "Not as good as sludge," he said. "Well, I just thought that might be useful to you. You can think about that." "Think about what?" "The things you know that you don't know, you know. You're not so bright compared to a troll, but you're a crumb smarter than most humans." "Thank you," I said, "but I'm not sure I understand. You humans always talk about magic and destiny, like it's the most powerful thing in the world, like it controls you. Doesn't it?" "I guess it does if you want it to. Maybe it does other humans, but you, Rump, you were born with magic." I can smell it stronger on you than any magical object I've ever found, even stronger than this tree. But that's the problem, I said. It's the magic that's caused all this trouble, just like all those things in your hoard caused trouble. I can't do anything about it. It's the people who cause the trouble, Rump, not the magic itself. If you're so full of magic, why should you be helpless? I don't know. I felt dizzy with confusion. Bork handed me the torch. Think about it. It's not so hard. He walked back into the trees. Everything was cold and quiet now, except for the crackle of the torch. I stared at the apple tree. I still couldn't believe Bork ate one. Maybe that poison didn't work on trolls. Maybe it only worked on princesses. Or maybe Bork was right. The seeds were really stronger than the magic. I am not a tree. I was born with a name, and that name is my destiny. Rumple has me wrapped and trapped. It controls me. My destiny controls me. But the new question entered my mind. What is destiny? I knew that everyone had one, just as they had a name, and they were one and the same. Just as no person chooses their name. No person chooses their destiny. It isn't up to them. But what if that wasn't so? If Red's granny said that I must find my destiny, doesn't that mean I have some say in where to look? Maybe destiny isn't something that just happens. Maybe destiny is something you do. Maybe destiny is like a seed and it grows. I wasn't powerless, even with my name, even with all the snares and tangles. I could do things like spin straw into gold and make terrible mistakes that ended up with girls being carried to their doom and promising me their firstborn child. This was all part of my destiny. My name is Rumple. My name means I am bound, but I can grow more powerful than those bindings. I am more than a name. I have always known. Deep inside, I have a power that no one can take away from me. A deep magic, more powerful than any magic placed upon me. A magic that I was born with, that grew inside me, deep in my bones. A stilt skin. I am Rumple. I am a stilt skin. Rumple, stilt skin. I pictured my mother holding me in her arms, dying, ready to give me a name that would overpower all the magic that had trapped her. She whispered it to me. It was the name that would make me everything I am. No one else had ever heard about me. My name is my destiny. My name is my power. Rumple, Stiltskin. I heard Mother's whispers reaching across years and mountains and valleys. Rumple, Stiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin. The name. My name shook in my chest. It traveled through my brain and down my arms and fingertips to my legs and toes. The sound of it echoed so loud inside me, I felt I would burst. I made a rhyme, then and there, a rhyme full of powerful words to release into the black night. Tomorrow I'm free, today I'm alive, the curses and tangles no longer survive. From deep within, the wisdom came that Rumpelstiltskin is my name. I was a stiltskin, and the power was greater than the rumple. I felt it now, all inside of me, as if just saying my name out loud had unleashed a force, and it was wrapping around the tangles, ready to rip them apart. I picked up an apple from the tree and took a bite. Sweet juice filled my mouth. I am more powerful than a tree, I shouted into the night air, and I laughed and danced. A flickering shadow caught my eye, and I froze mid-laugh. Frederick stepped from behind the tree into the clearing, his arms trembling as he held up a bow and arrow. Don't move, he said. Come out, Bruno. He kicked at his brother, who squealed and slid from behind another tree, holding a spear to his chest. He was white as the moon and shaking so hard it was as if some outside force were throttling him. Don't move, Frederick said again, pointing his bow and arrow at me. You have to come back with us. You still have to spin all that gold, or your friend is going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. Frederick took a step forward. Bruno took a step backwards and whimpered, mumbling, Trolls, filthy trolls, cursed trolls. I dropped my apple. I wasn't afraid of Frederick or Bruno anymore. They looked pathetic and small, quivering with their weapons. I was amazed that I had ever been afraid of them and ever allowed them to bully me. But I also realized I wasn't free yet. I had found my name. I still felt it inside me. The magic of my stillskin was still rushing through my arms and legs and my brain, making me big and powerful. But the Rumple had yet to be untangled. Red was still trapped in the castle, and there was still the miller to face. I still had Archie with me, and no one could untangle it all but me. So Rump finally found out his name. It's Rumpelstiltskin. So he's the Stiltskin, and he can overcome the magic because he's taking his destiny into his own hands. I hope you enjoyed chapter 30. We will do chapter 31 tomorrow. Have a great day, my friends.